Good morning and como estás? Welcome to the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. I'm your host, Jay Real, bringing you a Friday edition of the show. Now, we are going to start off with the NBA because there is, of course, something that's just extraordinary in that realm of sports, which is Kobe Bryant once again goes down with an injury. Now, how severe? It's tough to tell. It is a fracture in his left knee, which is the knee that he already had some issues with earlier in the season. He actually missed 19 games for that injury. So this is a non-surgical injury, but he's expected to be out 6 to 8 weeks. So Kobe Bryant will be riding the pine, sitting on the bench again. Now, what does this mean for the Lakers? Well, they already sold their team away to keep Kobe Bryant for a 2-year, $48 million plus deal. So the Lakers already kind of just gave away their next 2 years, saying that they're not going to do anything and they're not going to go anywhere, especially running for a championship. So with that said, Kobe Bryant is taking up a huge chunk of the payroll, and now he's going to be riding the bench. But LA actually played better through most of that 19-game stretch without Kobe Bryant because they allow more shooters and more people to get involved. Now, I'm not trying to say that the Lakers are better without Kobe Bryant. I'm not going to say that. But Kobe Bryant coming back from now a second injury, a big injury in the last year, I'm going to say is going to be very difficult for Kobe Bryant to be the player that he once was. He's over 35 years old now. And you got to think this guy's been playing straight out of high school. He did not go to college and then go to the pros 2-3 years down the road. He went straight from high school to the pros. So this guy actually has the body of a person that's probably 38, 39, 40 years old. And then you throw in all of the playoffs and the championship runs that they have had. This guy's played probably 20, 21 years compared to your average player that doesn't make the playoffs every year in that same amount of time. So Kobe Bryant's body is breaking down. Again, we're not saying he won't come back and do well, but it's going to be very difficult to see that happen just because of his age and the amount of abuse his body has taken over the last 15, 18 years. And even more so if you look at the playoffs and championship games he's played. So, with that said, we wish him the best. The guy got paid. The Lakers are in extreme disarray right now. They don't know what they're going to be doing because unless they trade Paul Gasol and try to pick up a couple of fresh players, basically Paul Gasol is your main guy. So anyway, with that said, Lakers, it'll be interesting to see what they do over the next few years. But more than that, you're just going to see Kobe Bryant running around, hobbling around on one leg. So good for them, good for Lakers. Moving on with the Heat. The Heat rallied past the Pacers the other night, and they needed to. The Pacers have owned them this season, so for them to come back, Dwayne Wade played remarkably to help them rally past the Pacers, but it's going to be tough for both teams to see him going over either one in a 7-game series. Why? Well, let's just break this down. The Heat have the experience, the veterans, and of course LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh on the same team. That is going to be difficult to overcome. The experience, the knowledge, being there, all the pressure, they've endured that. So the Pacers, they have the youth, they have the big bodies to bang it out down low, down in the trenches. And that's where, again, I could see it being difficult for the Heat to deal with the Pacers in a 7-game series. But these two teams are going to meet, don't get me wrong. I predict these two teams to meet to go forward chasing the championship. So now that we're on the subject of the NBA and LeBron James, he recently came out in an interview and said that he felt that there were no big rivalries or no rivalries in the NBA anymore. Thought about that for a second, and I have to agree with the guy. LeBron James is basically stating what I've been saying and what any normal, common sense person has been saying about the NBA for the last 3, 4, 5 years. It has changed. It's not about beating the best. It's about joining the best. You cannot put LeBron James Durant, any of these guys, Dwayne Wade, go across the board. Chris Paul, any of these guys cannot be put in the same sentence as your legends and as the all-stars used to be 10, 15, 20 past years ago. Why? Because since the days of Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, all of those greats from the mid to late 90s down, they wanted to beat the best. Since the early 2000, mid 2000 and up, everybody wants to join the best. They're pals, they're buddies. They want to hang out after the game and go to clubs and go to make it rain on women together. They're not even on the same team. They're the superstars from all these other teams. They want to hang out together and be pals. Then, when their contracts end up on that one team, when they're ready to go and bounce to another team, which they all do, they call each other. Hey buddy, hey, how about we all get together over here? Hey, how about we all meet on this team? They all join up together and then they run over people for the next 2, 3, 4 years. That's the formula for success in today's NBA. So you're right, LeBron, there is no rivalries because there's no competition anymore. There's no competitive hate towards another team. The Detroit Pistons hated the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls hated the Detroit Pistons. They were not going to join teams. They weren't going to take and cherry pick off of each other year after year to try to build some kind of super team. They wanted to beat each other, kill each other, especially when it came to the playoffs. And you could go on and on. When the Larry Bird and the Celtics were big rivalries against the Lakers of the 90s and 80s, they did not like each other. They didn't want to play on the same team. They wanted to beat each other. So with that said, again, we just completely agree with LeBron James. There are no big or decent rivalries in the NBA today. And I don't think there'll be any like that in the future. The NBA has changed, and to me it hasn't changed for the better. It's actually changed for the worse. We've already praised the Heat for being the first team to create the formula out of this new NBA style of the best joining the best to be the best. They've got 2 championships and they're working on their 3rd. So we'll just see how that works out. There are some serious teams looking great out there this year that could maybe beat the Heat, and we'll just see how it goes. Now, moving on with that, Durant, just again, phenomenal player, helps his team pass the Bulls to maintain their 13-0 record at home. They're tough. They are very tough, but for whatever reason, when they face the Heat, especially in the playoffs, they just don't seem to show up. Hopefully that has been a broken deal for them. Hopefully they have overcome that and can take it to the next level if they do face the Heat later on in the playoffs or in the championship. So moving on with that, we got to go to the NFL. Coach of the Year is right around the corner, and our suggestion is Bruce Arians. This guy is the coach for the Cardinals, and this guy is taking a ragamuffin team that barely had a couple of wins last season, and now they've won their last 6 or 7 games, and their defense is tight. The Cardinals are looking good, and it's all because of Bruce Arians, their new coach. So that's who we're tapping our hat to for Coach of the Year. But there's also a couple of other teams out there. The Panthers coach has been doing very, very phenomenal. And then, of course, you can't go wrong with Chip Kelly as well. They're not looking like that elite Super Bowl team that everyone thought they were at the beginning of the season, or that they should have been. But he has that team looking fairly good. And for being a first coach with the first team, a new quarterback, he's kind of shaking things up there in Philadelphia for the Eagles. So a couple of suggestions there, but we're going with Bruce and the Cardinals. Hope you get Coach of the Year. Moving on from that, we have to say kudos to some people that have really helped out the Player Zone over the last week, dealing with Christmas and being Santa's little helpers, creating the possibility for us to have the Winter Wonderland here at the Player Zone. And I'm just going to go right off the list here. We have to thank Subway and their ownership, local owners. We have to thank them for volunteering food for the volunteers and the staff that have been here helping out, just making kids' days bright, and they're this time of season bright for them. We have to thank Marla Little Spotted Horse from right here at the Inn of the Mountain Gods for helping us in her way. She knows, but we have to say thanks to you. Don't want to get her in any trouble, so we're just going to leave it at that. And then we got to thank Kelly from the Ruidoso News, who has been putting our information and all of this Winter Wonderland and Christmas and Santa news out there in the newspaper. Can't thank you enough, Kelly. Appreciate it. And then Thelma Lopez, our own little elf helper, spending 2 full days, all day long, standing on the street corners, promoting and helping. Everybody's just as important. Thank you, Thelma Lopez, my mother. I love you. Thank you. And then Ryan Senef, who has actually played a big part in making sure Santa comes to reality for these kids. And then First National Bank for donating just some really cool decorations for Christmas. I mean, just amazing stuff, very cool. And for any of you that have dropped trees and decorations off to help create this Winter Wonderland for the kids, we thank you all. Can't say enough. Don't have everybody's name. And we just appreciate everybody. And don't forget, this Saturday and Sunday, 1, 2, 4, you can come on down with your kids and check out Santa right here in the Wonderland. And basically that's our promoting the Player Zone. Got all their gaming needs, got all your NASCAR, Star Wars, gaming, Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, you name it, they got it. Comic books, sick ones. That's the Player Zone. Got to thank them. And then all of our partnership businesses, Freestyle Jewelry, Freestyle Productions. Can't thank them enough because they've really promoted our No Bully Zone, Why Bully Be a Friend campaign. Everyone should be involved with some kind of bully, Stop the Bully campaign, or No Bully Zone campaign, because this is just ridiculous. We got to thank Seeping Springs RV Parking Campground. They're just partnered up with us, willing to do whatever to help the kids, and the No Bully Zone here in Lincoln County, Otero County, focusing in our backyard but hoping it stretches all over the world. And of course, Right on Time Air and Delivery Service. Can't thank any and all of those businesses enough for helping out and helping create not only the Average Joe Sports Talk Show, but a better place to live, not only for kids, young adults, and older folks, but for just everybody. Can't thank them enough. Now going right on back to the NFL, there's word the Super Bowl may be moved to a different day this year because of weather conditions. Are you freaking kidding me? How are you going to have the Super Bowl on a Saturday because it's a storm on Sunday? We want to see that. If you're going to play outdoors, if you chose New York City to play a Super Bowl, we want to see the blizzard. We want to see the 2 foot of snow. We want to see the whiteout so you can barely see the balls going, because that is what's going to create the atmosphere of that winter Super Bowl. You chose it, NFL, not us. Instead of going to a dome or to a nice heated environment, you're going to choose New York City in the dead of winter. You should expect to have snow. We don't want to see it on Saturday. Would it bother me? No. I don't think so. Would it bother you? Let us know. Give us comments and feedback. Do you think the Super Bowl should be moved to Saturday or even a possible Tuesday of that week due to weather? Let us know. We're saying no way. Whether it's a blizzard whiteout, let them play. That's what we say. All right. Moving on from that, we're going to go and jump into the NCAA real quick. We got another story for the NFL, but we'll come back to that. The Texans have reached out to Lovie Smith, and Lovie Smith was a great coach. Had a winning record in Chicago before he got tossed to the curb. Had a winning record. So Texas would be a good fit for him. But is he willing to step down and go to a lower level of coaching? And that's the way you got to look at it. College is like your amateurish coaching. NFL's the top. And Lovie Smith could be a coach in the NFL next year because there's going to be some job openings for sure. And Coach Smith would fit in one of those positions. But Texas, let's just break this down, folks. Forbes magazine has just named Texas again the most valuable football program in the nation. Texas. That's how big. You will make NFL salary. You will make NFL money being a coach for Texas. So Lovie Smith might just get enticed. A lot less pressure, I'm sure, than the NFL. but the pressure to win in Texas. You have a huge recruiting base. Some of the best players come out of that region. So your players are going to just be beefed up, souped up, and ready to go. So Lovie Smith might go with Texas. It'd be interesting to see. Just throwing that out there to you all. And then let's just jump back to the NFL real quick. The Steelers linebacker Garvin was fined $25K for pimp slapping the kicker for the Cincinnati Bengals around. Actually hit him high, broke his jaw, and was fined $25K. Now, with that said, how many times are players hit high, hit low, and no one gets fined? They don't even get penalized. But when it comes to the Steelers, you better believe the NFL, they are focused tight on the Steelers, especially the defense. And they just, again, showed right there. Garvin $25K for the high hit to the Cincinnati Bengals punter. So with that said, we are going to wrap up the show. It is Christmas weekend. Wednesday will be Christmas. We did decide to do the shows this week instead of taking off. Now Wednesday, we will not be doing a show. Check out all the reruns. Check out any of our shows, especially boosting up some of our older videos. We want to get this show and this program pumped out to all of you out there in YouTube land. And it's working. It seems like every week we have more and more people watching our shows. And that's all we want to do. And we want you all to be involved. So if you want to get involved with the show, you can come on. You could, if you're in the Ruidoso, New Mexico area, you can sit right here next to us, here in the house, and be our guest. Talk sports, whatever is on your mind. If it comes to the sports world, we'll talk about it. Or if you want to call in, the number is 575-257-0559. And we'll get you on an interview right here. So with that said, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We should have a show on before the new year actually hits us. But for next Wednesday, or excuse me, Tuesday's show, it'll be a no-show. Again, check out the reruns. Give us comments and feedback. Again, if we find and see the comments, we are going to respond to every single one of them. We want your word. That's why we created the show, to be the topic of our show. So if you leave us feedback, we will discuss it, and we will try to get you on to discuss your feedback. But for right now, I am getting ready to enjoy the holiday season. We have Santa coming tomorrow. Again, Saturday, Sunday. Santa Claus will be at the Player Zone. Bring your kids. And if any of you out there have been struggling this year, and especially this season, and Santa is leaving some inventory behind for us to give to you all that need a helping hand, just come by the Player Zone, and we have gift bags for boys and girls. And we have gift certificates that you can put in stocking stuffers to just help out Christmas a little bit easier for those that have been struggling this season or this year. So for right now, J Real's going to sign out. Again, we thank everybody for making this season so possible, and just an amazing time for the kids around Lincoln County, Otero County. Peace. Much love. We will see you maybe next Friday, but for sure before New Year's.